Hello and welcome to another update video about Solana. Solana has moved down a little bit more since the last update, could so far not break above resistance to indicate that a low of sorts is in place. However, Solana is now oversold on the 1 hour chart. Okay, it's already recovering here a little bit, but that's only the 1 hour. What is more meaningful is the 4 hour, oversold on the 4 hour time frame. If it's loading, there you go, which doesn't happen too often, right? And again, these are not necessarily guarantees for a major reversal or something, but that's when we typically still can be watching for maybe bullish divergences to unfold. They can be meaningful. We had some bullish divergences, for example, back here in November, before the major rally started there, right? Those were a few bullish divergences that were forming. But overall, an oversold reading on the 4 hour time frame can lead to a bounce, especially if it's coupled with an oversold reading on the daily, which isn't quite there yet. So we're not quite there yet, but you can see that despite those rallies we had in recent months, also in 2024, we never really got into the oversold range, right? So we are approaching the 30 level again, a level from where in recent months we've seen significant rallies start from. So this was, for example, in June here. This was in August. This was in September. So we're now there pretty much. Okay, we might go a bit lower on the daily RSI, but all I want to say is, you know, the market is now pretty extended to the downside in this correction. I still see it as a corrective pullback in an overall uptrend, even though the price is sort of maxing out what it should really do in a wave 4 in a diagonal pattern. But then we have to talk about that, because on the larger time frame, do I actually have it open? Yeah. On the larger time frame, the price has space without problem. It could extend down to $163, right? That is the golden ratio level. A break below it will not lead to invalidation. I have to say that again and again. Sometimes people think it's invalidation. A break of support is usually not invalidation, but it is when probabilities start to shift. So it means if I get a sustained break below $163, it is actually too deep for a fourth wave, or at least to keep this a high confidence scenario. Now, that said, we are only in a diagonal to the upside anyway, so these are never high confidence wave patterns, okay? We're not dealing with an impulse here. So we have to consider that anyway when interpreting the chart, or when we act based on the analysis, because diagonals can never be trusted. So we have to remain flexible. That's been sort of a narrative throughout this entire cycle. And I really sincerely hope that, the caution comes across, because it is important to be cautious. We are not in a sector where everything goes, right? It's not like 2021 or 2017 where just everything rallies. It's just not like that. It's important, more important than ever, to be aware of reward and risk, and where we have good setups. But for now, the trend is still down locally in an overall uptrend. I still think one more high would be ideal. What it means is $179 and $163 are the next key support levels, but any sustained break below 163 would mean the chart needs to be reinterpreted. And what would be a reasonable alternative? We really will need to take a look at how the chart breaks support. Is it a decisive break, or do we just get a wick, like a super panic wick, and then it recovers, which happens, right? So sometimes people just say that I'm selling everything down here, right? Just because it broke support. What they forget is, even if a larger correction is unfolding, typically we get a bounce, and then they will have to buy up here, and then it goes down lower, because panic selling is never good. And also that if we don't get a sustained break below support, it's not, it's not invalidation, right? It's not invalidation. The invalidation point actually formally is the September low, $120. Now that said, for a wave 4, it would be too deep, really, to keep it a high, let's say, okay, high confidence scenario, but okay, understand that diagonals, you can never be confident in diagonals, but still, something else would become more probable, like, for example, maybe a wider diagonal pattern, right? So maybe this third will be up here, and this is like an AB in wave 3. Now that's possible, but we don't know that yet. We don't know that yet. In that case, then it would be wise to watch for a 1-2 setup from a low to to indicate that a reversal is happening, right? It can then be very useful to assume we go down lower until we see a small reversal pattern to the upside. So for now, I mean, the parameters are still being respected here. And now let's take a look at the smaller time frame. Solana has dipped into this blue target area. I believe we talked about that in the last update. It's between $185 and $163. Fibonacci target area for this C wave down. The wave count is still A wave, B wave, C wave. We talked about that in the last video. We also talked about we might see another low. It's there yet. It's there now. I think already here I was starting to look for a low to be in place, but without any evidence. We still have no evidence, okay? So the local trend is still down. We're still printing lower lows and lower highs in this C wave within a possible wave 4. And it takes a break minimally above initial resistance for a first indication that a low of sorts is in place. So we need a break above 195.81 to even start to think about a low has formed, right? And then it's all about the structure of the next rally. So if we see a 5-wave move up, for example, if we see a 5-wave move up, then that would be a possible wave 1, right? And the pullback afterwards could be a local setup. At the moment, this is still a very hot knife to catch. Okay, we're still in a local downtrend. We haven't even broken above resistance. But I mean, this is the area where the bulls now really need to turn up to keep this overall wave count alive. Yeah, that's the update about Solana. Hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then please check out the channel membership. Also, make sure that you follow us on Instagram and Twitter for additional content. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.